One West, y'all. I'm Shy XL, man. And let me tell you something. We different over here. We big steppers. Let's go.
Go get a big stepper. Hard body, One West rapper. Put on for my king, my niggas, my niggas. Certified One West hitters, whoa. Go get a big stepper. Hard body, One West rapper. Put on for my king, my niggas, my niggas. Certified One West hitters, whoa. Yo, what you say? No, we don't play you out your mind. Watch what you say, that type of shit could get you lined. And if you search, then let me tell you what you'll find. The city is mine. Just a mud who became the pick of the litter. Now my name ring bells when you talk heavy hitters. Nice nigga, but don't make me transform like Thriller. Sam Cooke a nigga beat like I was born by the river. Go get her, you piss her, you get off of the shitter. Can't put you in the spotlight, you niggas are with her. Keep an eye open round for any nigga that slither. Cause it ain't no sunshine here like Bill Withers, whoa. Fuck you know about this life I live. How you gon' talk to me like I ain't lose no rib? Like I ain't lose no crib, ain't lose no kid. Ain't sleep in my car and I ain't lose no gig. Shit, I never gave an order that I ain't did. And I ain't never take a fucking thing that I wouldn't give. Always kept it a bill, homie, I ain't fib. And if I had to go sit, then I just do my bid. Yo, my whole team full of steel beams we can't fold. Your whole circle full of some squares you can't roll. That's why we always take it to levels you can't go. Talk shit, but you can see me with these hands though. If looks to kill like Cyclops, these niggas wanna see me in Pine Box. Know that on my watch, got a better chance to rewind clocks. When you quit nigga when time stops, bitch. Go get a big stepper. Hard body, One West rapper. Put on for my king, my niggas, my niggas. Certified One West hitters, whoa. Go get a big stepper. Hard body, One West rapper. Put on for my king, my niggas, my niggas. Certified One West hitters, whoa.
This flow is award-winning. Torment him, bomb to death, I'm bored with him. Trash him, throw him away with the has-beens. Ice cold with the flow, I'm Alaskan. You was in the fucking jungle in the past tense. I be with the lions, they my friends, Carol Baskin. And like her, they'll never find a body. Tiger stripe tracksuit, feeling like Joe Exotic. Shit, I don't know what it is, but I know I got it. Feeling like Alonzo, surgical with the shotty. All you see is skull and bones, Illuminati. Probably, I be the illest nigga to do it. I just talk shit on the beat and they call it music. I just come provide you with heat, remain the coolest. You ain't never been in the street with all the shooters. I was sipping yak with rioters and looters. Gotta keep my boots laid, shoot straight. Run up on you with the deuce 8 in a screw face. It's bad out here, my style effortless. 2 hands hugging a Ruger, so affectionate. Lot of suckers don't want war, I'm respecting it. Biggest stepper, snatch your plate, the hood starving. Cause they got beard shoe trades like James Harden. Straight from NY to Philly, we still mobbing.
Go get a big stepper. Hard body, One West rapper. Put on for my king, my niggas, my niggas. Certified One West hitters, whoa. Go get a big stepper. Hard body, One West rapper. Put on for my king, my niggas, my niggas. Certified One West hitters, whoa. 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 Whoa.
No, we go to ground.
Let's take it to the concrete real quick. Let's take it back to the bricks.
You know when they come up.
You know what we do. We represent for our niggas, man. Our niggas, let's go.
Already was born ready. I'm more ready. I'm saying this now, making sure that the more ready. Yeah. We got some drop-offs, battle formation, I'm waiting for you to pop off. Right after you make your first move, get your rocks off. Next thing you'll head to the dirt, we are not soft. I took a loss, but nah, I ain't panicking. I be making moves, you staying still like a mannequin. Think you got the force for shit, I'm feeling like Anakin. Hit the chick with the lightsaber, might save her. Doing moves tight major with light paper. And H-Town on them blades like an ice skater. Yeah. At that One West Passover, sit down, take a seat to the class over. Far from sober, but I ain't puffin' on Doja. Bartender, bring me tequila. Hold the soda, shit. Hold the ice too, flood it like a typhoon. We can get 6 shooters, 10 paces high noon. We had Player Street, all-star studded like it's all-star weekend with all my brothers. Ain't nobody fucking round with my niggas. You know who I go to ground with, my niggas. You know when they come around, if they wanna clown, then we gun them down for my niggas. Ain't nobody fucking round with my niggas. You know who I go to ground with, my niggas. You know when they come around, if they wanna clown, then we gun them down for my niggas. Ride for my, die for my niggas. Make sure me and the squad solidified. I'm down to ride, go to war like I did the job. You niggas whores, I'm the ball, plus I been the vibe. You can't feel me, unless you sip 100 proof. I got 100 soldiers with me, that's 200 boots. We get to stomping like a Kappa or a Q. But don't mistake me for no rapper, I'm the Jew. The streets cold, so I throw on the cover. You a bitch, don't get mad at me, get mad at your mother. Put my life on the line like I got me another, yeah, shit. It's like I'm on another level here. You second tier, I'm pulling guns, that's on Metal Gear. It's hell out here, but shit, I die heavenly. AK equipped with the drum, it holds 70. Twin revolvers, bucket you ducks like Yosemite. Yeah, I hear a lot of rappers puffing on their enemies. I don't smoke, but I drink their tears like it's Hennessy. Yeah, nigga, but it is what it is. Ain't no nicotine, but I is with the cig. I just had a dream and I did what I did. And Philly bodies dropping every day where I live. So I don't even wanna hear about rappers. Heavy gut punch, knock the air out rappers. Ain't nobody fucking round with my niggas. You know who I go to ground with, my niggas. You know when they come around, if they wanna clown, then we gun them down for my niggas. Ain't nobody fucking round with my niggas. You know who I go to ground with, my niggas. You know when they come around, if they wanna clown, then we gun them down for my niggas. For my niggas. My niggas, alright. Ride for my job, for my cry for my niggas.
You know what time it is, y'all. I don't know how many times I gotta tell y'all, man. This brotherhood is crazy. And all we do is rep for our niggas. Forever.
Ooh, 27 Club.
All right, gang, let's really nail it this time. Here we go. A 1, a 2. A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Been in this shit for some years, I ain't never left. Nigga try to save his life like he's scared of death. I got Hillstar on my body, bitch, I'm heaven sent. Hey, this UPK ain't nothing, we on fellowship. Been in this shit for some years, I ain't never left. Nigga try to save his life like he's scared of death. I got Hillstar on my body, bitch, I'm heaven sent. Hey, this UPK ain't nothing, we on fellowship. Florida Lee on my top, this a Saints hat. This the third can't be been in here, J-Cat. Nigga tryna steal the sauce, yeah, I hate that. But I ain't make the rules, I can't change that. New bottle, new wine, yeah, I can't crack. Look, flag on the play, they grabbing face masks. Niggas always saving hoes where your cape at. The only killer that you know without no face tag. Hell yeah, my bitch bad, Proverbs 31, yeah. This is not a drill, I be 30'd up, yeah. He about to crack the sky, you better hurry up. It's all bad when you see us hang that jersey up. It's mad brick, I got the blick with my cover on. He a fed, he a op, got his cover blown. Look, I'm really outside without no scully on. It's 1 West, bitch, I'm on with my brothers on. He got ranked, then he left, he broke another oath. I got the plate, we about to take another zone. They was sleeping on the team, now they comatose. Left his brother out to dry, I guess he wanna fold. Put the oil on his head, that's another soul. I try to tell him we a pro, don't do this shit at home. She unhappy, left her man, she a 304. He try to justify that shit, he broke the penal code. Been in this shit for some years, I ain't never left. Nigga try to save his life like he's scared of death. I got Hillstar on my body, bitch, I'm heaven sent. Hey, this UPK ain't nothing, we on fellowship. Been in this shit for some years, I ain't never left. Nigga try to save his life like he's scared of death. I got Hillstar on my body, bitch, I'm heaven sent. Hey, this UPK ain't nothing, we on fellowship. Gotta watch these niggas, they be cointel. Lil' bro ain't never killed nobody, but I know he will. It's on me, yeah, where I go, yeah, that's the holy seal. My niggas itching when it's up, you better not touch a chair. Ooh, I'm with the extra, that's on the back. He ain't loyal to his brothers, how you follow that? She either working with her hands or she off her bag. Broke bitches, yeah, they done that give me a heart attack. You see the banner, but my head, I'm a part of that. These niggas cowards, pussies, we don't want no parts in that. They let our warrior out of prison, he ain't going back. And don't be speaking on the truth, cause we with all of that. Look, before they started dissing, they was fans first. You will never catch me digging in no man purse. Really put my brick in, that's why my hands hurt. And don't be speaking bullshit, that make my head hurt. Look, I done burnt my fingers from the Michael Drake. For the brotherhood, I done threw my life away. I never see them, tell them come off from their hiding place. We can't do it, we told them we gon' find a way. They'd rather march 1,000 deep, we rather feed the people. They wouldn't put on all black, now he reading Hebrew. UPK the standard if you speak on Hebrew. Don't think they solid, get with them niggas just gon' leave you. Been in this shit for some years, I ain't never left. Nigga try to save his life like he's scared of death. I got Hillstar on my body, bitch, I'm heaven sent. Hey, this UPK ain't nothing, we on fellowship. Been in this shit for some years, I ain't never left. Nigga try to save his life like he's scared of death. I got Hillstar on my body, bitch, I'm heaven sent. Hey, this UPK ain't nothing, we on fellowship. It's gotta be it. There we go. All right. Shalom, Israel. YAHANNA to the brothers. YAHANNA to the sisters. We are the I.S.U.P.K, the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. Established in 1969, 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. We are led by Commanding General YAHANNA. We are not affiliated with any other organization. Israel. Pay your tithes, man. Nosotros somos la escuela israelita. I still got problems saying that. De conocimiento práctico universal. Comenzamos en Oeste, calle 125th, Harlem, New York. Nueva York desde 1969. Si tú eres hombre hispano, negro o indio nativo, tú eres Israel, el pueblo, el guiro de Dios. Y con esto, mi gente, nuestro tiempo ha terminado. Yahweh en el nombre de Yahweh los bendiga, hermanos. Yahweh en el nombre de Yahweh cuide sobre ustedes, hermanas. Shalom, órale. All right, shalom to South Dakota. Shalom, Yahbasim Yahshua Barakathum. To the brothers, who do we got? We got Trooper Regaz, we got Young Man Keto, we got the sister Shanae. Shalom, sis. Yahweh Shemal Atan Ba'Shem Yahushai. All right. I.S.U.P.K Milwaukee Biblical Law Class. Any questions, comments, or concerns on the law? Feel free to ask. Any questions, comments, or concerns off the topic of the law? If you be so kind as to wait until the end of class.
towards like maybe the last half hour of class, around 8:30. You can let those rip. Until then, again, the big discussion, the big controversy. Hey, Shalom, newly raised up also 50 in the Thak. Shalom out there in, I don't know if you're back in Milwaukee, but yeah, about Shimmy Ashabakata. I know you've been out there in, where was that? Not Eau Claire. Not Fond du Lac. Either way, good to have you in class, brother. Oh, shit. I'll be back in a few days. Salakia. The whole thing just skipped. All right, let me know if y'all can still hear me. We just lost power for a second there. Let me know if y'all can still hear me. We just lost power. Volume seems good. All right, I guess nobody dropped out of the class. I don't know what happened there, but all right, we are back. So the law, the big discussion, the big controversy about the law. What is the law? How do you keep the law? What laws are you supposed to keep? Everybody talks about the Mosaic law is done because Christ had nailed it to the cross with him. That the law is done away with. But anytime that I've ever really had that argument with people, it always comes down to really just to the dietary law. That's the main thing. Or they'll try to concede that it is, Brother Nathak, by all means, ask away. Everybody just either says, the law of Moses is done, or those were just the laws to the Israelites, and, the rest of the people ain't got to keep them. Which is partially true. If we go into, was it Psalms? Check this out real quick. Psalms. There we go. Psalms 147 and 19. Psalms 147 and 19. Let me share the share that screen while the brother's getting his question up. Right, Psalms 147 and 19. He showed his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. So that is a demonstration of the Most High only giving his law. After Jacob had essentially been raised up, got his name changed. And the other nations were not held to the same standard. So now why do the other nations suffer too? So we suffer more spiritually in that respect than physically, even though it does manifest itself physically because of the negative consequences associated with the things that we're doing that would be against the law. They are life-threatening and they are dangerous. The dietary law, again, for example, the high blood pressure, the cholesterol, the heart disease that a lot of those foods and diets can cause. And that's without all of the additives and preservatives that they put into a lot of the food nowadays. A lot of the synthetic ingredients, the natural and artificial flavors, they're all artificial flavors. Ain't nothing natural about this stuff. But then down to, committing adultery. Brothers and sisters get unalived behind that. The Lord works in mysterious ways, as they might say. So the brother Officer Nathak has a question. What do you do with a person who asks questions about the Bible but still leans onto their own understanding and says the Bible is a contradiction? They'd have to go about now proving the contradiction. One or two things that you could do in those situations. You could just walk away from the situation. Not everything needs to be entertained. When you see a certain level of ignorance or comfort in the current life model, you got to recognize that it might be time to just leave that conversation alone. After, what is it? 2 or 3 admonitions. Now, real quick, the people that you might be having these conversations with, are they brothers? Are they sisters? Are they heathens? Well, I look up a couple of precepts for this. So the people that you're having these conversations with, are they brothers or sisters? Okay, they are Israelites, okay. All right, so giving each other patience and some understanding about not just the mental conditioning that we've gone through, the violence that it took to enslave our minds. That's a big obstacle that a lot of people got to get over. I think that's one reason why we jump automatically to the violence in a lot of situations versus having, even if it's going to be a heated exchange, but still having the conversation. A lot of people, when they can't make their point, when they feel trapped in an answer, when they feel like they're and I'm sure you've seen people get embarrassed in the middle of a conversation and not having an answer readily available, or stumbling through it, or just get proven wrong in the middle of their attempts. So you got another point on there. Is one of the precepts about a double-minded person being unstable in all the ways. Not necessarily a precept that is a precept for the characteristics that we're looking for, but as far as dealing with them, because normally like there's one in particular that I'm still searching for. It got to be kind of right with the words. One of the main ones that a lot of people are going to say is Matthew 7:6. when you're in the middle of in a conversation with people, and it's just, you got a pocket full of teeth, because it's, you know, it's like pulling teeth with some of these guys and some of these gals. No matter what you say, it's not really going to get through to them. So Matthew 7:6, give not that which is holy unto the dogs. This is more so referring to heathens. So we're gonna get to how we kind of deal with each other real quick, but I just want to put this one out there too, because this will be a lot of people's go-to. This is mainly dealing with heathens, because we're looking at the characteristics of these dogs and these pigs being unclean to us. So the comparison a lot of times to these to dogs and like unclean animals is non-Israelites. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine. So that holy, again, the word holy means separate. It's not this, and even though it is by definition, it's just not like, you know, this highly revered, special, glowing object or thought or principle of some sorts that's made out of magical fairy dust. This holy, whatever. If this bottle is holy, if this lighter is holy, if this incense is holy, it's not something that they sprinkled some fairy dust on and now it's somehow special and magical. And then what's the word that Christians use quite a bit? But either way, the word just holy just means separate, right? So what's separate that we have? You know, it's our culture, it's our way of life, it's our station with the Most High. The laws that we carry. That again, and I always say this, the laws of Israel are what define our culture. It's, you know, these are the characteristics that define anybody's culture. Their lies, their laws, their rules, their food, their clothing, their music. These are all their artwork. Things like pottery. Again, their clothes I'd mentioned. These are all kind of elements of what a culture is, but that law that goes with it, that sets them aside from everybody else. Because anybody can wear clothes. You go to somebody else's homeland, a lot of times you might dress like them to kind of fit the weather, the temperament of whatever seasons they may be going through. But you're not expected to hold to their laws. Now, while you're there, you might partake in it, but when you go home, you go back to doing you. None of their priests are going to come up to you, or their law enforcement is going to come up to you, not see you not dressing like them again after you're home, and see you not eating like them, and then hold you accountable to it. You get to go back to your hot pockets and TV dinners or whatever it might be, and shed yourself of the experience that you just had over there, without any reprisal or punishment. So that which is holy unto us, do not give this to dogs. We do not share this with outside nations, with heathens. And neither cast ye your pearls before swine. What's our pearls? This wisdom, this knowledge that we have in the Most High. Not of ourselves, not of academics, physics, biology, astrology, none of that stuff, but the knowledge that we have of the Most High. The practical knowledge that we have of the Most High. These aren't things that you really got to prioritize or waste your time with dealing with heathens, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you. Again, it's not really going to have any effect on them. You're gonna make an attempt, and you're gonna be weakened by it. Trying to convert them, trying to convince them. This ain't that kind of game. So now let's discuss how we would treat this amongst each other. Matthew chapter 10, verse 4. So we're still in Matthew. It's a few chapters later. And whosoever shall not receive you. That's another important point to mention, that whosoever. Again, in this context, the people that we're dealing with is in each other. Our neighbors, our families, our demographic. If we're holding an event on the north side of Milwaukee, not to say that there aren't, little pockets of Edomites, they kind of have their own kind of territories up here, but for the most part, like if we were to make the phrase like, I want the whole north side to come through, I want the whole south side to come through, colloquially, we're talking about the blacks and Hispanics. That's just kind of commonly understood when it's blacks and Hispanics that are talking to each other. If you're a so-called white person or East Indian, you might naturally have a different inflection on the intended audience that you're talking about in your mind. But when it's us talking about it, we're talking whole sides of the town, whole sides of the city. I want the south side to come up here. I'm talking about the Hispanics. You got a lot of East Indians that live on the south side, a little bit farther south, not like the south side, but like, south side of Milwaukee, way the hell down there. But they're not like south side Milwaukee. So when we're talking about it, we know that we're pretty much talking about just Hispanics. We just want the Hispanics to come up here. Same thing about the north side. Just because amongst us, it's commonly understood, Slakia, that the north side, predominantly black, south side, predominantly Hispanic. That's just kind of an understood thing in Milwaukee. I can guarantee, I'm so confident in it, if I went up to another brother or sister and I said that phrase to him, let's invite the whole south side up. Automatically, they're going to think Hispanics. Automatically. Same thing down south, man. You go to the south side, you say, listen, man, let's bring the north side down here. They're going to think black folks. That is guaranteed across the board when we're talking with each other. Now, even with some of the other heathens that have been around us and kind of know our culture and our lingo and who the inference is to, they'll understand that too. So just to kind of be clear on the whosoever, the context is going to define, it's like the context is going to provide the definition. Yeah, Slaka, there was a severe thunderstorm and tornado storm that just came through Milwaukee. So, check up on your loved ones. If anybody traveling out there, Lord be with you, be safe. But the rain, we just had a torrent just a little bit ago. They're talking like 60 mile per hour winds, and I cracked the door open because I'm nosy like that. And sure as shit, it was whipping pretty good. Our gates kind of flung open on one side. They had to drag them back in, but everything worked out. Back to it. And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words. So you're trying to talk to them, you're trying to explain it to them, you're trying to relate to them, but they're just they don't care. They're not giving you the time of day. Maybe they keep on interrupting you. Maybe they're their head is in the clouds while you're in the middle of a sentence. Again, you got to just kind of recognize when it's kind of an appropriate time to just, all right, you can, when ye depart out of that house or city, shake off the dust of your feet. Now you're wiping your hands clean of the matter. You're not. Don't dwell on it afterwards. Once you depart the company, don't give them a second thought. If they got any other questions, comments, or concerns on the matter, they know how to find you. They know your UPK, I'm sure, so they know who to look up and cry to. When their feelings get hurt or they don't understand something. It's these are just those occasions where now you just kind of turn your back on it. And again, when it's our people, you know, match their energy too when you're doing it. And I'm sure with especially with you, officer, priest and officer, being able to discern the kind of energy that the people are coming at you with, you'll know how to, you know, appropriately react to it. You know, somebody's coming at you that's sincere but maybe ignorant, maybe kind of simple to the topic. Not that they're stupid, but they don't really know what they're talking about when it comes to the Bible. Let them down easy. You know, some people might just, you know, they try to depart it with, you know, we'll just agree to disagree. Okay, brother. All right, Lord be with you. All right, where's the nearest gas station? Now it's just on to a different topic, different discussion. You ain't got to come back and revisit that with them no more. Now we just move on with life in general. Other people might be a little more crude with it, a little bit more hardy about it, thinking that they just got done schooling you, and again you not being affected by anything they said just as much, if not more, than them not being affected by anything you just said to them, falling on deaf ears. So, you know, again, when it gets to that point, you can just dismiss it altogether, and, you know, no expectation of having to revisit that, unless maybe they approach you again. And then if you'd like to entertain it, I mean, you can. But now again, you might have people coming up to you trying to outsmart you, trying to, you know, prove a point, and all you wanted was, you know, a hamburger. You know, just put them on order. At that point, you know, it's kind of up to your discretion if you got time to entertain that or not. Certainly not obligated to. Again, also discerning the spirits. Maybe the last time you saw them really struggling with the concept, and maybe they were starting to get it. They were so close, but, you know, maybe they were high, and they just it was getting too much. I cannot tell you how many conversations I had that we just had to end because it was getting too serious, too deep, and people were getting like remarkably offended by it. In my youth in the school, I used to. I was casting my pearls to swine, and I was what to say about the dogs. I was given what was holy unto dogs, but a lot of these conversations was with our own people, and I wasn't heeding the signs of the conversation of, all right, just shake the dust off my feet, and just let it go our separate ways. It's not that serious. You let them know who you are. You let them know where they can find you. After that, if they got any questions about it, if they want to come seeking out more answers, you know, they can call in. They can call into the school. They can attend class. You ain't got to beat your brow trying to get them right. Which brings us to Titus chapter 3, verse 10. A man that is a heretic after the first and second admonition, reject. So these are people that, you know, God isn't real, Jesus isn't real, he's made up. What's that family they attribute him to? Some Roman family supposedly had made up Jesus in the New Testament. I cannot remember their name now. But the Bible's fake, it's fabricated, it's got all these contradictions, blah, blah, blah. Heretics. But let's look up the word heretic. Just a quick Google AI overview. Heretic. A heretic is a person who holds beliefs or opinions that go against official, established, or popular rules and ideas. Again, it's mainly a famous word in religion or religious settings. Let's see, and they're getting this from dictionary.com. And they're kind of quoting inside the religious meaning in that sphere. someone inside a religious group who rejects or fights its core teachings, a person who chooses their own ideas instead of accepting official church rules. Historically, groups like the Roman Catholic Church punish those who refuse to follow approved faith. Yeah, see, like, that's another funny thing about the Roman Catholics, man. They're the ones that would, you know, beat you to death if you were to say something cross about the Most High Christ. Again, in their mind, it's white baby Jesus and old man white God. But they would put people to death for publicly stating their disbelief or their disagreement with the scriptures that they had provided to the people, or their interpretation of it. So, if you got a person around you that fits Titus 3 and 10, who is a heretic, and this could be for women too. After the first and second admonition, let's look at the word admonition. Copy. Take a look at these definitions. So we got what a heretic is. Admonition. All right, so again, the Google AI overview, the sourcing is from the Merriam-Webster. An admonition is a firm warning, advice, or gentle scolding about their behavior. Tells you to stop making a mistake or to fix a bad action before something worse happens. You know, which is what we do, especially during camp time. You know, and then we'll get that precept as well. Salakia. Is okay, perfect. At camp, we are admonishing our people, which is illustrated in Isaiah chapter 58, verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sins. I'm going to get one more to go with this. I believe it's going to be here. Let's finish this real quick. Isaiah 58 and 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sins. That's admonishing. Biblically speaking, that's what's prescribed in the Bible to do. That's how we are at camp. That's what we're doing. It's not just admonishing either. That's not the only thing that we do. We lift up our people. At the same time, we encourage them, and we educate them. But sometimes you have to admonish them. There's that difference. Admonishing is still a form of educating, telling people where they're going wrong and how to fix that before something goes for real wrong in their life, versus just a kind of the simple education of, well, this is what happened back in the 1800s. Well, this is the definition of John 3:16. There's kind of different applications of it, different kind of spirits and attitudes behind educating and admonishing. Admonishing is going to be a little more strict, how they had defined it. A little bit more straightforward, a little bit more hard-nosed and stern, and damn, what's the not so much aggressive, assertive. You're being more assertive when you're admonishing somebody. And we can kind of see that with Isaiah 58 and 1, crying aloud, sparing not. The truth doesn't care about any of our feelings. Lifting up thy voice like a trumpet. We're sounding that alarm. And if the mic fails on us, or the speaker, the batteries, what have you, we just get louder. That's one of the reasons why we try to get brothers when they're reading to speak up, to speak with some depth and some bass in their voice, to get them ready for camp season. Because you cannot go to camp and start reading like this. And God said, and for he loved God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son. Like you need to speak aloud, cry aloud and spare not. Lift up thy voice like a trumpet. That's camp culture. But we try to get brothers assimilated to that in the classroom by reading strong and powerful while we're live too. And I know it might feel a little silly at first. I get that part. Maybe that's just me though. When I first started, I felt a little silly doing it. Because like, why am I being so loud? Who am I yelling at here? But it's to lift up your zeal, and for those around you too. They hear you talking all quiet and somber about it. That doesn't really pump up the room. If you put a little bass in your voice, you speak with your chest, it grabs the attention. It stirs something up. It calls to the spirits, if you will, to be more engaged with it. So that's something that we start to do in class with young men and troopers, to get them to get into the spirit, to get into the habit of it. And now we see how this plays out. Let me just make sure. We're definitely going to go to Nehemiah, but because we're going to show you camp in the Bible. Give me 1 second. Yup. Everybody go to Nehemiah chapter 8. We're going to start at verse 1. This is Nehemiah. Just want to make sure it's up here. All right, so Nehemiah chapter 8. We're going to start at verse 1. We're going to run through a few of these real quick. But this is camp. For anybody that's been to a live camp, has seen us out there, this is where we get the model from. Just like this. Verse 1. Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 1. And all the people gathered themselves together as one man into the street that was before the water gate. And they spake unto Ezra the scribe to bring the book of the law to Moses, which the Lord had commanded to Israel. So now, this is the people even wanting to hear the word. And Ezra, in verse 2, and Ezra the priest brought the law before the congregation, both of men and women, and all that could hear with understanding, upon the first day of the 7th month. Verse 3, and he read therein before the street that was before the water gate, from the morning until midday. If you know anything about camp, man, we're out there for quite a while. We try to get out there maybe like around noon or something like that, just because that's when most of the people are kind of hustling and bustling. Everybody's out there. Expect like in Chicago, the Miracle Mile too. I don't know how early they get it cracking on the Miracle Mile in that neighborhood downtown, but every time we're out there, 11 o'clock maybe for setup, 12, 1 o'clock. It's jumping. There's 100,000 people in any direction you look. And we'll stay there until sundown sometimes, depending on the weather or what other events we might have lined up that day. We might be there until sundown, and then we might hang out, until a little bit after too. Before the water gate, from the morning until midday, before the men and the women, and those that could understand, and the ears of all the people were attentive unto the book of the law. Verse 4, and Ezra the scribe stood upon a pulpit of wood, which they had made for the purpose. This is where the traditions come into it. This is why we build our camp equipment. And there's something there's something, you know, special about that. When you build the camp equipment yourselves, all the flaws included. You know, you got brothers that might not have ever used a power tool a day in their life, let alone a tape measure or a hammer or a drill. So when we come together to achieve these goals for these purposes, you know, it does something a little extra to the atmosphere, to the finished product. There's that added, you know, sense of pride and accomplishment for what you just got done. You know, all the splinters that you just got done collecting, and the sawdust in your eyes because you know you're a man and you don't need eye protection. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. It does something for the brotherhood there to be a part of that creation, the assembly of it all. So, and Ezra the scribe stood upon the pulpit of wood which they had made for the purpose, and beside him stood Mattathiah and Shema and Ananiah, or it's like Ananiah and Uriah and Hilkiah and Maaseiah, and on his right hand, that was on his right hand, on his left hand, Pedaiah and Mishael and Malachiah and Hashum and Hashabada, Hashbadana and Zechariah and Mashullam. These are, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, like 7 brothers over here, 6 brothers over there. That's plus the reader and the speaker on the camp. That's about 15 people. Now it doesn't mention a reader up there with him, but you know, Ezra on the pulpit, and then you had 6 brothers on his right hand side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 brothers on his left hand side. You know, so roughly 14 brothers there. And you know, right now I believe the current number is at least like 15 people. So you put a reader up on that stand too. You got camp. You got all the bases loaded here, ready for a grand slam. Verse 5. And Ezra opened the book in the sight of all the people, for he was above all the people. You know, we raised that pulpit up. And when he opened it, all the people stood up. Verse 6. And Ezra blessed the Lord, the great God. And Ezra blessed the Lord, the great God. And all the people answered, Amen, Amen, with lifting up their hands. And they bowed their heads and worshiped the Lord with their faces to the ground. Verse 7, also Jeshua and Benaiah and Sherebiah and Jamin and Akub. Shout out to Jamin. Shabbathiah, Hodijah, Maaseiah, Kelida, Azariah, Jozabad, Hanan, Peliah, and the Levites caused the people to understand the law, and the people stood in their place. Verse 8, so they read in the book of the law of God distinctly and gave the sense and caused them to understand the reading. So they read it and they broke it down. So now all these other brothers that you read, that you got in verse 7, these are like the men that would go up to read the scriptures back to back. Again, something else that you see us doing at camp. So you might have the first brother start off. A lot of times, like, you know, because I was normally always, I'm probably still always going to be there, with the setup crew for camp. You know, some of the first people to go out there, get it all set up. And while we're making the little final touches, you're going to have that one brother and the reader go up while the rest of the men are holding post, running the perimeter. You might have a couple other brothers just kind of straightening everything out. The higher ranking men holding post in the background. So Jeshua might have been Ezra, I guess in this case, was the first one. But then after him, maybe Jeshua was up. And he's having the brothers read out the scripture. He's reading himself. But, you know, now we've got a person to read while the other brother just instructs. And they, in verse 8, so they read out of the book of the law of God distinctly, Jeshua, and then after him, Benaiah probably comes up, and then Sherebiah comes up, and then Jamin comes up. They read out of the law of they read in the book in the law of God distinctly and gave the sense and caused them to understand the reading. So they're breaking down what they're reading as they go. You know, looking at the current events, looking at the atmosphere of whatever environment that they're in, the crime rates, the homosexuality, the drug uses and overdoses, the missing women and children, the laws that they're breaking. That again was only given to Jacob and to Israel. You know, they're just connotating the nation of Israel, all 12 tribes. Slack it. And it kind of goes on from there. But you get the picture, you get the idea. And that's what's going on in Isaiah 58:1. They're crying aloud and sparing not. They're lifting up their voice like a trumpet, and they're showing my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sins. Because because he showed his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. So these are the people that need to hear the words of the law. And these brothers are reading, you know, out of that book. But now, as you're reading this, you know, there's a certain measure that you're gonna aim at the heathens. But that's normally going to be dealing with their prophesied destruction, their prophesied servitude to the Most High in Christ and under the Israelites. And I should say this too, their prophesied destruction by the Most High in Christ. It says Israel is his battle axe. So whatever portion of this that needs to be hands-on, that'll be dictated by the Most High. But we're talking about their whole governments, their whole militaries being subdued by the Most High in Christ. And when that sky cracks and those 200 million angels, or 200,000, 200,000, I think that turns into 200 million. Those 200 million angels and spacecrafts come whizzing out of the sky and destroys their military ordnance. You know, that's pretty much, you know, a job well done for the day. But now when it comes to our people, who can be a stiff-necked people, it's like I was waiting for the page to switch over. There we go. If they don't receive you, nor hear your words, you know, when you're done with camp, you can just keep it moving. You did your job. You alerted them to what's going on, warned them of the struggles to come, and that if they don't, you know, start making some changes, you know, life can get a lot worse than this. You know, sometimes sometimes I be having some rough days at work, and I got to try to remember, you know, in retrospect and in hindsight, you know, this shit ain't that bad. This shit ain't that bad. A lot of it's really just getting annoyed. You know, letting, you know, shit getting under my skin. Personal preferences. Things could be a lot worse. And that's something that I don't think people really take into consideration is, you know, like, you know, we've had some pretty rough times. Individually, together as a people, what we've experienced, it's, you know, it's been pretty bad. We've had some dark days. And if we don't get this right, those dark days are not that far behind us again. They're right around the corner. So as we're admonishing and educating and sharing this word of in the book of the law, the laws of God, it's you know, it just kind of goes with the territory that somebody's gonna ignore the shit out of you. and they're gonna go get high, and they're gonna go cop a bag of something that's laced with fentanyl, and that's the end of their story. How did your son die? Oh, he overdosed. It's you don't get to tell some heroic story or anecdote about what that loved one had done, to lose their life. They weren't saving anybody. They weren't making a difference in the world. They weren't, putting a stop to crime or injustices. They were getting high. They were just getting high with their little junkie buddies, and then they overdosed. And that's it. And that's that's a sad way to have to send somebody off with that kind of memory and reputation. And then of course, the way that it feels like it projects onto the parents. Where do we go wrong as parents? That our children are overdosing, that our children are going to these parties. And again, you could be doing everything right, and you just got a wild kid, somebody that don't want to listen. Sees the distractions and the lure of the world around them, and the excitement and the glitz and the glam, and the perceived good time that everybody else is having. They want to be a part of that, and they get sucked into that machine, and it costs them everything. And the way that could hit back on you, it's it drives a person, make the wise man mad. You see that desperation to forget about your poverty, that desperation to forget about the abuse that you might be suffering, or that your kid might be suffering, or your loved one might be suffering, and they're in that desperation, they go out there and try to seek distraction, something to get their mind off of it. They just want to feel something other than pain and shame and regret and insults and screaming and fighting. They just want to feel something different. And they go outside of home to look for it, when that's what we should be providing for our children, for our loved ones, period. Anybody that you got in your house, anybody that you got close to you, that's how we should be treating each other. They shouldn't have to go around, looking in dark alleys for something to satisfy their life. And again, you could be doing everything right, everything according to God, according to the Bible, and they might still, be seeking something in the wrong direction. And that's when, nope, wrong one. That's unfortunately kind of when Titus 3:10 comes back into play. A man that isn't heretic after the first and second admonition reject. And I just kind of got to let him go. Lord be with him. You tell him, listen, little girl, put some clothes on. Around the house, guys, we've always had t-shirts and basketball shorts or sweatpants. Girls have those options too, but somewhere along the lines, those little spaghetti strap shirts and shorts. I seen this little girl today on the bus. She must have been, 4 years old, if that. You can tell that the clothes on her, they just weren't meant to fit her anymore. She's growing out of them. But it just unbelievable. Look, 2 sizes too small on her. In public, on the city bus. Halfway went to yell at, I don't know if that was the grandpa or the uncle or something like that, but that's become the normalcy for our little girls. Around the house, it might be a little bit different to dress a little bit more casual, but still, t-shirts and shorts, basketball shorts at that, You know, sweatpants, you know, that's appropriate for casual, just kind of lounging around the house. You know, when you go into public, though, you know, for sure that should be, listen, t-shirts and sweatpants, you know, for forever, as far as I'm concerned. But it's, you know, there's public attire and then there's home wear. And even around the house, like, I don't know when it got, or these clothes got designated for little girls, but with the spaghetti straps and the little shorts. So like you got spam call. You know, that's just become, again, normalcy. That's just the status quo. Just like with these young boys with the sagging of their pants, it's, you might have an elastic waist, like they got these like athletic pants with the elastic waistband pulled down beneath their butts. Everything just hanging out. And that's the normal. Now, all the young boys that I see around here are doing it. I'm seeing a lot of older brothers doing it too. Like my generation, I'm seeing a lot of these guys doing it too. Now, my generation, and probably maybe just the generation before me, you know, that's something that was learned in jail to signify that you're ready for a date that night, or I guess in general. And these kids now, they're wearing it just because that's like the fashion. I heard one young man try to say it's because they're letting the girls know what kind of underwear they got. Like, who the fuck asked you? I don't know any girls. I don't know. Listen, I've never heard of that. In my day, I have never heard of that. Any girl ask any brother what kind of underwear you're wearing. Walk around with your ass hanging out so we can all see what kind of underwear you're wearing. I've never heard that before in my life. You try to admonish one of these young men about it, one of these young ladies about it, you get cussed out, you get into a fight, you get shot or something. After the first and second admonition, yeah, all right, turn your back. You know, stop smoking. You know, it shit'll kill you. Shit'll damage you. For some people, they can smoke 100 years and nothing will affect them. Another person could smoke, you know, the first year of their life and, you know, get lung cancer. You know, it could happen quick. Maybe you just got that one box from, I don't know, Wuhan, China, and that went through the friggin' anthrax machine, and you know now you caught a case of the good stuff, and you know that could be it. Like, you know, just this stuff like you don't. There's always a risk in messing with it. Even with some of the food that we're eating, a brother had just in our medic department. It's like you're kind of going off a little bit here, but there was a recent outbreak. I'm trying to remember how this is even pronounced. Just going to read this off real quick. Taylor Farms tied to a recent cyclospora. Let's see what cyclospora is. Make sure I spelled that right. All right, I'm going to share this real quick. Again, AI Google overview from Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of something something. Can't see what that's the finish. All right, cyclospora is a tiny single-cell parasite that infects the small intestine, causes an intestinal illness known as cyclosporiasis, which leads to frequent watery diarrhea, stomach cramps, bloating, and fatigue. People get sick by eating food or drinking water tainted with the parasite. You know, contaminated food or water, fresh produce, not a person-to-person contractor. If anybody's exhibiting these signs, may signs of illness, watery diarrhea, loss of appetite, weight loss, cramps, gas, bloating, extreme tiredness, symptoms that go away and come back. treatment, antibiotics, clean habits. Yeah, wash your hands, man. Wash your hands. Rinse all your fruits and vegetables. Rinse them thoroughly. Still might not wash away all the parasites. Looks like there might be something on the surface, or they might be, dug into the food. But Taylor Farms was tied to this outbreak, and it's worth knowing that products connected to the company may not always say Taylor Farms on the front. So other subsidiaries or sister companies or corporations that may also be affiliated with Taylor Farms is Earthbound Farm, Eat Smart, Market Side, which I guess you can find at Walmart, Good and Gather from Target, Simple Truth from Kroger, Simple Truth Organic also from Kroger, Little Salad Bar from Aldi's, Simply Nature also from Aldi's, 365 by Whole Foods Market. Now, that's kind of a popular brand up here in Wisconsin. At the Pick and Saves, no, that's Metro Market, sorry. Whole Foods is a little bit different. But one of those health nut organic, all natural, fat, grass-fed food stores. 365 is like their Roundy's brand. I don't even think it's Roundy's brand no more, but you know what I'm saying. O Organics by Safeway and Albertsons. Signature Select, also by Safeway and Albertsons. Greenwise at Publix. Kirkland Signature at Costco and Waze. Never heard of that one, but those are some of the other companies that are affiliated with Taylor Farms that might not say, Taylor Farms right on it. But that was a company that was recently connected with the outbreak of Cyclospora. So something to check out. But all that admonition, once you've gone through it a couple times with them, now they're just being heretics. So they got, talking about the Bible's got all these contradictions. And it's always the same gaslit, misunderstood quotes. I've researched a handful of them myself. Had a couple conversations with other people, and it's always kind of the same talking points. So once you get to that point with them, if you've explained it a couple times, if you've invited them to class, if you've invited them to call Across the Line Radio, that's kind of what I like to do to people. I like to tell them to call Across the Line Radio, praying that they do, so I can hear them make an ass out of themselves. That's just, I'm a simple man. I find some of the simple joys in life. That's just me. Whether it's a brother or a heathen, I'll send them that direction, and they can get cut. And there are some people out there who can get knocked off their high horse, humble themselves, and find their way back home. And when that does happen, we don't rub their face in it. We can laugh about it. We can be mature, and we can sit there and crack jokes about some of it. But if it's a brother or sister, give them the opportunity. Exhaust every opportunity that you can present to them on how they can come correct and get educated properly on the Bible and the history and the culture. Let that be one admonition. Let the second be, your specific invites. Listen, we're having, Tuesday, a biblical law class with Priest and Officer 5000 among a bar, for example. Whenever you, Kowal, want to start taking these classes over, you're more than welcome. Or guys, y'all war, you're more than ready and waiting for you brothers. But, start inviting them to more specific classes. Tell them the days and the times of the local school that they might, or, give them the phone number. Maybe you're battling them online, and there's no school, directly in their vicinity, something that they might not be able to travel to. Again, that's going to be an excuse too. If they were for real about it, they'll travel wherever the truth, takes them. They're going to travel for a female, but they're not going to travel for the truth. But if they still lean on their own understanding, as the Bible and says that the Bible is a contradiction, after a while, just reject them. You can just let it go. After all that, it ain't too much of a point in continuing any of those discussions. If they want to come back to you and ask you about something, you can entertain it, but it's certainly ain't required. But that, I think, more than thoroughly should answer that question. If you're satisfied with that, officer. If not, certainly let me know what else might need to get clarified. But the whole part about them being double-minded and being unstable in all their ways, yeah, that can be a characteristic of theirs. I wouldn't necessarily use that as a precept for that situation. Just how to recognize it, and you're gonna that would go along with them being lukewarm. They're neither hot nor cold. But they're the kind of, riding the fence. Because a lot of them, they might believe, some of the nice things that the Bible says. Oh, that makes sense. I can keep that. I'm going to throw everything else out because it's a contradiction. But with enough cunning, we can get them to call in and entertain the captains and the rest of the nation with their inquiries. Just to get proven that they don't know what the hell they're talking about, which I think is always, a plus. And that, Lord allow, they might get educated in the process too. So it could be a win-win. It could just be a win. But that's one way to go. So, this whole law thing, right? This whole law fiasco. What constitutes law? I can't remember what part in Romans we had left off in last time. Right now we're just going to go to chapter 8. I got to figure out how to get like Clubhouse on here so we can do a Clubhouse class at the same time. I think I'd have to do that on my phone. I don't know if there is a I don't know if there's a way to get it online. Well, maybe we'll try that for the next time. Just because it's already, we only got about a half hour left. I won't try that for this one. So maybe next week we'll check into that. So when we talk about the law that's done away with, what portion? Because the laws of God and the law of Moses, the law of God, the law of faith. In context, that is all the same thing. Because when we're talking about the law of Moses, the law that Moses had delivered to the people, that's not just stone them all to death. Now, let's not be, naive. That is absolutely part of it. But that's where the laws of, mercy and charity and grace come in. Because Christ did not come to destroy the law. He came to fulfill. Let's get that verse real quick. Destroy the laws or the prophets. That's not how you spell prophets. There we go. Matthew's got a whole lot of wisdom in it. Matthew chapter 5 verse 7. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. I understand how Christians, depending on how you read this, because I'd say grammatically, everything's in a position to where now it just comes down to the context of the words. Another thing that I always try to point out is if you're the author of some literary works, why is this not on? Oh, because that's why. If you're the author of some literary works, it doesn't matter what words you use, whatever the context is that you had meant, that's what it is. You define. You are the authority. As the author, you are the authority on the definition and context of any word that you use to articulate your point. The word think, you could have meant, in your mind when you were writing it, you could have meant fucking sponge. But you chose to use the word think. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's nonsensical, completely illogical or not. It doesn't matter. You're the author of it. You had a certain agenda, meaning, point to make when you were writing this down. Or I should also say too, the orator and the scribe. The scribe might know what the brother's trying to say, and he might write it out. I don't want to just say like in an artistic manner, because we do see some of that expressed in how the scribes had recorded it. But working in tandem to put these records together, whatever the authors had in mind while they were compiling these records, it's their authority on what stands and what doesn't. So think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy but to fulfill. So now, he didn't come to destroy the laws of brotherhood, the laws of adultery. Otherwise, he never would have told the crowd to go stone that woman. Whoever is without sin cast the first stone. And just in my opinion, verses like this, to me, like that settles the argument. From a Christian's perspective, or somebody else who's indoctrinated in Christianity, Islam, even atheists. Like atheists, it's a ridiculous thing. Like atheists that think that they know the Bible. Most, and this is what I always tell them, listen, you know a little bit about Christianity. You do not know the Bible. The two are not synonymous. They aren't interchangeable. They aren't connected. Christianity and the Bible are not compatible. So when they try to make these arguments about contradictions, Again, they don't know what they're talking about. They know some of the Christian talking points that can confound some Christians, but they're not formally educated enough on the topic, to have anything to say this way or the next. They are double-minded. So that's definitely some of the qualifying characteristics of them. But, if we're just reading this out, coming to destroy the law. So now if he's saying he's not come to destroy the law, what law is he talking about? Now people are always going to jump to the laws of God. Well, it doesn't say that here. What's the law that we had though prior to? Because that's something that we can make a pretty safe assertion of. Now it doesn't say the law of Moses either, to be fair. But think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. So he's talking about the things of old, the things that we had prior to what was going to be his necessary, contribution or involvement. Because now he's coming with grace and the law of faith. That's what he's bringing to the table. So what he's reflecting on here is going to be the laws of Moses. He ain't come to destroy that. Or the prophets. Everything that was prophesied about him. Everything that was prophesied for the nations. He didn't come here to save Esau. The prophet said Esau was going to be destroyed. The Edomites, they were prophesied to be destroyed. The other nations, they were prophesied to be ruled by a rod of iron. He didn't come to destroy these prophecies. He ain't come to destroy, but to fulfill. To keep them. To exercise the laws and the prophet. Because, what's the opposite of destroy? Let's look up some of the antonyms of destroy. I hope I use the right word there. You got synonyms and antonyms. Synonyms are like words, antonyms are opposite words. Destroy. Share this real quick. Again, just AI Google AI overview. You got destroy here. The common antonyms for the word destroy include build, construct, create, repair, and restore. The best opposite word depends on how you use destroy in a sentence. So again, leaving it up to the authority of the author or the orator. So building and making, fixing and saving. Let's look at the word fulfill. And this has also come from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. The word fulfill means to do, finish, or achieve something that you promised, planned, or were told to do. Promises and duties, requirements, potentials and dreams, personal happiness. Common ways to fulfill. Promises and duties, to keep a promise, do a job, or carry out a duty. Requirements, to match the rules, terms, or conditions of a test, job, or order. Potentials and dreams, personal happiness. I don't think that's so much in the contextual use of fulfill in Matthew, or is that 5? No, Romans. No, Matthew. Yeah, 5 and 17. Go back to this. So he's not come to destroy it, but to fulfill it, to complete it, to finish it. The prophecies, to fulfill the law, to do the law, to keep the law, to keep the prophets. You know, almost any word that you want to throw in there kind of applies to this. By his own words, he's not come to destroy the law or the prophets. That's representative of the things of old that came before him. That everybody wants to say, well, he did away with. God did away with these laws. Jesus did away with the laws of Moses. He did not. By his own words, he did not. And it's like I'm saying Jesus, not God. Because Jesus is not God. That's the you know, the argument, the crux of this whole debacle, this whole back and forth conundrum of what this law is. So I think now we can go to Romans 8. Because maybe that'll help give us a better, clearer understanding when we're reading through what these you know, upcoming instructions are. This is Romans chapter 8. Just kind of kicking it around the first verses here. I want to skip down, what time is it? All right, 8:41. All right, I want to skip down to verse 4, I think. Well, I'll just start at verse 1. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. So when you overcome that flesh and you're walking in the Spirit, you've got that spiritual understanding of the law, which really gives you the preventative measures on how to not break the law, how to not let that supersede, you know, your spirit and tempt your flesh to the point of, you know, offending the law. Verse 2, for the law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus hath made me free from the law of sin and death. So now, again, there's still a law being abided by. But the law of Spirit of life, which Christ gave us, that better, clearer understanding of what the law is. The same way that those brothers were breaking down what the law was in the book of the law to the people in Nehemiah chapter 8. That's what Christ had given us, was that better understanding of the law and how to avoid that condemnation. Because if you don't have that spiritual understanding, you are subject to suffer the condemnation of the law in the flesh. Verse 3, for what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh. It's like I thought I was about to sneeze. Hold on. All right, Salaki. For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh. Meaning, you know, the punishments of the law, it didn't work. It didn't set in. It definitely had its time. It absolutely had its time. But after so many captivities, after following after the lust of the flesh, and how that broke our nation up. You know, King David and King Solomon even. Well, I should say mainly King Solomon, because that's when the nation had split. And as a people, that's where you can see the nation of Israel going off. Even from Saul to David to Solomon, we were on better terms with the Most High as a nation of people. You still had cases of individuals doing some dumb shit, but the nation was better guided, better provided for, because that's another thing that kind of goes with some of the decision-making processes that we went through that drew us away from it. When the people's needs are met, they're a lot more focused. They don't have that monkey on their back of how are they going to get this next meal for their kids. They're hungry too. How are they going to eat and survive on a daily basis? How are they going to provide enough money for the utility bills, the car note, the insurance? I just saw an advertisement for a tow truck company, which is bogus as shit too. The name of the tow truck company is, what was it? Always Towing, or Always Be Towing, something like that. But just saw now hiring sign for Always Be Towing, tow truck company. It's like that's we're not paid or sponsored by this company. I just thought that's a messed up name. Like that's kind of like a swift kick in the uprights. You're getting your car towed by who? Always Towing. That's messed up. But they got a hiring sign out front with a $5,000 startup bonus. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of hard to ignore, in these cities. $5,000 startup bonus. Not only that's, paid out over maybe 6 months or something like that, or a year. But that's a good chunk of change. And, what are you doing? You're going to go repossess cars that people failed to pay on. They need those cars to go to work. They need those cars to take their kids, to and from daycare and school, to get groceries. And somewhere along the lines, money got funny and they couldn't afford it. That's enough for a lot of people to take their mind off the law, especially the spiritual side of it. They're a lot of them are just looking at the carnal aspect of it first. Like, I don't care if I get a ticket. I don't, like, what are they gonna do? Put me more in debt? $600 might as well be 1,000. 1,000 might as well be 5. 5 might as well be 10. You stop counting after 20. Well, that added stress and pressure can be enough to keep us distracted from the law, from maintaining that law. So when we had our kingdoms established and in order and organized and understood, this is the hierarchy, rank and order. Just as a people, a lot of those stresses, a lot of those factors are taken off our shoulders. Because we were running shit. The biggest war at that time that we fought was amongst each other. David and Saul. And Saul, all the beefs that he had with the other nations around him. And after, the Lord had taken his favor off of him, taken his spirit off of Saul, and Saul fell, and David rose up. David had to squash civil wars amongst Israel to reunite the nation. And again, there was prosperity, which takes a lot of those added stresses off the common folk. The resources and needs are met, they're provided for. that might still give way to idle hands now. You know, now they ain't got that they ain't got that need to hustle to keep them busy, so they got more time to focus on their neighbor's wife. But at the same time, we had a kingdom that could enforce the laws of the culture. So there were preventative measures. Shout out to my nigga Natazia, man. What up, bro? Shout out to that brother Azania. What's going on, man? A lot of those stressors are taking off your shoulders. Oh. Snap. Salakia. I just got word about a tree collapsing right by the house. It was like it just missed us. Yikes. Okay. And you know, it gives us direction, which is something that as a people that's stuff that we need. We need, you know, people ain't gonna like how that sounds. You know, everybody's an adult. You can't tell them what to do. I completely understand it. That's why your car is getting repossessed. I completely get it. We need to get shit back in order. We need to follow under a hierarchy, under a structured, you know, rank and command. Can't everybody just always be in charge of shit independently? That's going to give you, you know, a million different options of ideas to follow. Versus what the Most High had prescribed. His people, again, his culture, verses Psalms 49 and 7, 147 verse 19, Salakia. When he showed his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel, he gave us orders to follow. He gave us a regimented way of life to abide by. And when we don't do that, chaos ensues. And now again, it's every man kind of scrambling for himself. So in Romans, when he's talking about there is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus. So, you know, following who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. And we see that for the law of the Spirit of life. So there's still law that you got to follow. And that's still going to entail not committing adultery. So now how does that fit into the Spirit of life? Because chances are, homeboy ain't going to blow your damn brains out if you didn't get his wife to blow your damn brains out. Salaki, maybe that's too much. Salaki to the men above me. Yeah, maybe that's too much info. Salaki. But if you're not stealing from your neighbor, chances are he won't try to cut your arms off. And that's more, you know, I think an Old Testament standard, but it's not going to breed all the animosity that we see amongst each other today by all the offenses that we're giving each other. You know, all the headaches that we're giving each other. So that law of the Spirit of life is provided by keeping the laws of Moses, of God. Because that leads to life. If you're keeping the laws, there's no punishments that you would suffer. Tell me that don't make sense. How are you going to suffer the wrath of God if you're not stealing from somebody? Is this making sense? You're likely, more than likely, you're not gonna suffer lung cancer if you're not smoking. Now that's reasonable, isn't it? That's in the law of the spirit of life. Because you're not engaging in any actions that will cause death. Which, when we're looking at the laws, is a common consequence. Forfeiting your life. So, I mean, I think it's a pretty easy decision to make from there. Follow the laws and save your life. That's the spirit of life. We're going to get into this more next week. All right, August 27th, in the open pavilion on the Menominee Reservation. Lord allow, we're still ironing out some differences here. But shout out to Menominee Reservation. Listen, some tough brothers and sisters up there. Some tough brothers and sisters up there. But we love y'all, man. We love y'all. And I pray in the long term nobody takes any of this, the wrong way. Despite what them purple niggas did. And we're not them. You got brothers that purposefully will not wear the color purple just to make sure that they are not accidentally associated with them. But with that color purple too, they always got the little gold tassels at the bottom of their shirt too. So if you do see a UPK brother like Shapat's Endure line, Yaramok's Javelin line, Ra'im's Iron Sapien line. If any of these brothers were to have Yaradan's joints, if any of these brothers were to have purple shirts, you're not going to see the garment or the fringes on the bottom. That's one I think major distinction between brothers just wearing a purple shirt versus the purple police and how they style their garments. They can't even call them garments. Just their little dress ups. So despite the damage that they've done on the reservations, on behalf of the name of Israel, Salaki, we'd like to apologize. Even though that's not our burden, that they didn't do, we ain't the ones who did that to them. The I.S.U.P.K is the sole authority on earth of the nation of Israel. Under the Most High in Christ, we're led by Commanding General YAHANNA. So, on behalf of the school and Salaki to the men above me, Salaki for them niggas. They are out of line. They are bastard sons who left home to teach their own thing that is contrary to the word of God. So, it's a shout out to the Menominee Nation. Shout out to the Lakota people. September 25th, we're looking to kick it with them, which is where I heard all that shit happened with them niggas. They went up to Lakota, acted a goddamn fool, and got their asses whooped. Lakota, listen, shout out to the Lakota, man, ran them niggas off. And again, that's our own people, and it shouldn't be a laughing matter, but it's like they've been admonished. They have been admonished many times. Them purple niggas. They've been admonished. Now they get rejected. We are not affiliated with nobody, and we're not making a judgment against them per se, but we absolutely reserve the right to make that very clear that we're not them, they're not us. So shout out to Menominee, shout out to the Lakota, shout out to the other brothers and sisters on the different reservations. Lord allow, we hope to see y'all soon too. September 11th, Feast of the Memorial of the Blowing of the Trumpets on 9/11. Never forget. With that, shalom to the brothers. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Barakathum. Shalom to the sisters. Yahweh Shemal Atham Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Stay tuned. Get ready for tomorrow's class too. Scripture breakdown class. Captain DeBar, I'm out. Let's get it. Shalom.